What's up, podcast fam? Welcome back, or welcome if you are new here to the Uniquely Wired podcast. I'm your host, Nani. You guys, I want to apologize in advance. I am under the weather. I am a bit congested and have a mild cough, which is why I have with me my Starbucks vanilla chai latte. And when I got home, I added a drizzle of honey. Me and tea are not good, so I feel like this chai latte definitely soothed my throat. So just apologize in advance if I do end up coughing, which is why I'm going to try to make this episode as quick as possible. Um, but before I get started, I do want to share that I recently had both of the kids' IEP meeting and they were both successful, you guys. They are getting exactly what they need. So snap to the school. They are both in charter school. For those of you that don't know, my daughter, I pulled her out of public school and she has been in this charter school. This is going to be her second year there. And this is my son's first year. He is 6 years old and she's 9. They are both on the spectrum. Um, my daughter is minimally verbal. She has lots of language in her, lots of words, but still struggles to answer questions and hold a conversation. My son is autistic and non speaking for now because I do believe that he can and he will speak again. Well, he will speak because he never had words in him, but I do believe that God can definitely do it. And I am believing for that for both of my kids that they will speak and have a conversation with me. I don't know where, I don't know how, I don't know when, but I know it can happen. Um, so anyways, let's get right into this episode. I actually want to talk about my biggest fear this school year, um, which is bullying. And this is more so with my daughter who is in fourth grade. I feel like a lot of the things that she does, as far as like the stimming goes and her quirks and things like that, are more visible now that she's getting older. And because she is with older kids, um, I don't know, it makes me feel very fearful. This doesn't mean that, I have no trust that God is watching over them, because trust me, every morning that I leave them in school, I'm covering them in prayer and I know that God watches over them, but there's still reality, right? There's still kids that are mean, and that's just the truth. That's just the reality we live in. And so, you know, it isn't so simple to just drop off our kids at school every day. Um, and this is more for the parents that have to send their kids to school. Maybe you work, maybe you have other things, maybe you have a business, whatever the case may be. But um, I feel like we carry that weight of like, oh my gosh, is my child going to get bullied? Will today be that day? Um, and so that's pretty much one of my biggest fear with her. Um, I do wonder, will the teacher understand her? And will other kids be kind? Will someone notice when she's struggling or where she is struggling? And so for me, that fear just gets deeper when I think about my daughter. You have to remember when you have a child that, yes, she has language. Yes, I know she's capable of speaking, but she's not there just yet. It is not so easy. It is not easy at all to just be like, oh, it's okay. It is what it is. And the reason, and I will say this, my biggest fear, right? It isn't her grades. It isn't, excuse me, even regression. It's not even that. It's actually my biggest fear is how others will treat my daughter, right? And of course, my son too. But again, I'm focusing on my daughter because she's older. She's in that pre-puberty stage. A lot of things are becoming visible, and kids are just not always understanding or the nicest. They're very blunt and straightforward a lot of the times. And with my son, yes, I worry about him as well. It's not like I'm dismissing my son. I don't want to seem like, oh, I don't care about him because I do. I just think the reason why I focus more on my daughter is because, like I said, she's older and my son, he's only in kindergarten. Yes, can bullying happen in kindergarten? Yes, absolutely. But I feel like he's so much more younger that a lot of the things, I don't know why this hair is just flying around. Sorry about that. A lot of the things that he does are like, oh, he's so cute, versus like when my daughter does the stimming and all the things, it's more obvious. And it's like, wait, she's so much older. And my daughter's tall, for her age. She's already like 4 foot something. She's almost my mother-in-law's height, and my mother-in-law's 4'11. Okay. So she's definitely tall for her age. Um, so I wanted to share really quick, and again, I have it on my notes. When Eliana was in second grade, which this was her last year in public school, right? She's in fourth grade. She started charter school in third grade. So second grade was her last year in public school. I noticed a few times when I will pick Eliana up that she will be quieter than usual. She just didn't seem herself. And this is the thing, even though my daughter can't tell me how her day went, who did what, who said what, I can see it in her eyes that something went down, right? Something happened, because this is the thing. Our kids, even though they may not speak, even though they may not be showing certain things, they feel, they feel things. The way you treat them, the way you speak to them, they feel that. And so, of course, I will ask her, and I still do till this day. Both of them, I asked them, how was your day? And now I actually switched it and I started saying, was it a happy day? Was it a sad day? Instead of good or bad, right? So I actually changed those words to just say, how was your day, Eliana and Jacob? Did you have a happy day or was it a sad day? And so as of right now, there's still not really answers, but I know we will get there because I know they can hear me. I know they can hear me. And so I do remember crying and just feeling the weight of guilt, like, you didn't do enough or you shouldn't have sent her to school. Y'all, it was just so much that I was battling in my mind and in my heart. I mean, the mom guilt is already there, right? But then you add all this, it just made me feel crazy. It made me feel so bad. And so like I said, I just remember crying and just wanting to have that conversation with my daughter, just longing for that moment where when she comes out of school, she can tell me, hey, mom, this girl said this to me, or this boy said this to me, or my teacher said this to me. Because listen, I know we think that the bullying only comes from the kids. Listen, it comes from teachers as well. And so, this is something that I decided to do personally. And I will tell you this, we cannot control how others act toward our children, but we can control what my child knows about themselves, right? So I started having little talks before school, right? And I wouldn't say I do this every day, but at least once a week, I would say things like this to my daughter. Eliana, you are so loved. God made you exactly how you are on purpose. You think differently, and that's okay. You don't have to change who you are to make others comfortable. These are things that I just started telling my daughter. And I would say this in the car. I would say this maybe while I'm getting her ready for school, while I'm bathing her, whatever the case may be, right? And I just want to encourage you, moms and dads that are listening, that sometimes our power isn't in protecting our children from every storm, but it's in preparing them to stand firm in the rain. So just remember, we're not always going to be there. And I know, listen, that's what hurts me the most, that we're not always going to be present to protect them and not allow anything to happen to them. But we can always teach them how to stand strong in the midst of the storm. And so I also want to touch on some practical strategies and things that schools can do to be better. So, if you're an educator, if you are a therapist, whoever you are that's listening, I want you to take this, right? So, because this is the thing, schools have such a big role to play, okay? It's not just about anti-bullying posters on the wall. It's about real inclusion and what that looks like. So that means, one, here are three things. One, educating neurotypical kids about autism and differences in a positive, relatable way. Two, training teachers and staff to recognize subtle, subtle forms of bullying, right? The looks, the whispers, the isolation. And three, creating safe spaces where our kids can decompress, find comfort, or talk to someone they trust. So if you're a teacher, therapist, or admin listening, thank you for what you do. But please remember that inclusion isn't just a word, it's an everyday action. So I really just hope and pray the schools can continue to do better and not just bring someone to talk about anti-bullying and, this and that, but really act on it. It's not just saying it, but it's actually acting on what you said. So to close out, like I told you guys, this was going to be straightforward, and I just really wanted to put this out there because I want other families to know that they are not alone. You're not alone if you're listening to this and you have an autistic child. And maybe, just maybe, you have seen your child experience bullying. And so I just want you to know that you are not alone, you are seen, and you are for sure understood by a mom like myself. And I know there are others that are listening that feel the same way. This is a fear for a lot of us autism families. And really, I would say for all of us autism families and special needs families all across the globe. Whether it's autism, ADHD, cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, like this is real. Bullying is real. So to every mom listening, every dad listening, I know the fear. I know what it feels like to send your child, into a world that doesn't always understand them. And I pray they come home, safe. Especially if your child catches the bus. I can't even imagine that fear of like, oh, I pray my child gets home safe. So here is what I've learned. God sees what we can't see. I'm going to say that again. God sees what we can't see. He goes with them into every classroom, every hallway. Everywhere they go, God is with them. This is why it's important to stay prayed up. This is why it's important for you to pray so God can instill that discernment in you, right? We call it the mom gut, but it's really, to me, it's the Holy Spirit giving me that discernment and showing me, hey, this is what's going on. And let me tell you, you really need discernment when you have two kids that can't really tell you how was their day or who did what and said what. Like you really need that discernment to say, something's off. Let me contact the teacher and see what's going on. And I know I recently spoke to someone and I said, I really feel like there should be a protest. There should be a petition going around where every school that offers special education should have cameras in special education classrooms. Listen, I guarantee you, because their biggest thing is HIPAA and protection, yada, yada, yada. I guarantee you that every parent that has a child in special education classrooms, in autistic support classrooms, in special needs classroom, whatever you want to call it, they will sign a form to say, yes, I want camera in the classroom. Especially when their child can't speak or express themselves on how was their day. Because, listen, the teacher could say whatever. The principal could say whatever. But what did your child experience? And so I am demanding that special education classrooms have cameras. I think that should be a must. That shouldn't even be a negotiable. Like that's a non-negotiable for me. So um I just want to encourage you that when the anxiety creeps in, whisper this prayer. Lord, be where I can't be. Protect my child's heart, their mind, and their joy. And he will. Trust me, he will. So I just want to say thank you again for listening to this episode. I know again it was super quick, but I know with me being congested and having this mild cough, like I don't want to be here too long. Listen, I wouldn't want to hear myself this way. So um but I know that last week I didn't give you guys we didn't have an episode releasing, so I know that I want you guys to have this episode and just hold on to it, be encouraged by it, and really whenever you feel like you're alone, come back and listen to it. But listen, do not stop fighting for your child and what they need. Do not stop fighting for your child and what they need. Make sure that you are standing up for what's right for your child. And guess what? You're also speaking for other children. So, yeah, if this episode was encouraging, make sure to leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. If you're on YouTube, make sure you give it a like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. I am so excited, you guys. I cannot believe that the holidays are around the corner. Like they're literally around the corner. They're knocking at the door, okay? So I really hope and pray you guys are preparing for the holidays if you celebrate. Super excited. But yeah, that is all you guys for this episode. Make sure you stay tuned for our next episode on the Uniquely Wired podcast.